All right, hi everybody, how you doing? This is Rob with Poppie's Famous Products, aka Poppie himself. Today we're going to do the first video in a series on this new cabinet on how to chalk paint. I'm going to document what I do and how I do it. All right, but today I want to take a little bit of time and talk about some things to get you started and how to get started and the best ways to prep your piece. Now, there's a lot of myths out there that chalk paint does not need to be prepped. I personally disagree with that. Some things do, some things don't, and it really depends on the piece itself. Now with this piece here today, we have one that's been painted multiple times. It's heavily layered in paint. And as a matter of fact, on the top here, it's been so heavily painted that I can see the grain from 5 feet away. The brush strokes, I mean, it's that heavy, I can feel it, all right? Personally, I don't like that with my paint. Now, if you have a piece that's clean, it's oil-free, grease-free, sure, you can just go ahead and paint it right away. But most pieces at least will benefit from a light sanding or a wash with a little bit of alcohol or some kind of cleaner that doesn't leave a residue. All right, so one of the things we're going to talk about now is the tools of how you actually sand this, all right? I have a bunch of tools over here that are used for this, all right? Now with a big tabletop like this, I like to use a sanding block, all right? Sanding blocks make it very easy to sand straight level surfaces because they are just that, straight and level. So that when you sand, you're not gouging the wood as you would with your hand sometimes. There's multiple types of blocks, all right? I have a little larger one here. This is actually a drywall block, but I use this for furniture because it has such a large surface area that on a large tabletop, it makes it very easy to sand it, all right? Now I have a multi-pack of sandpaper here. There's many different grades of sandpaper, and we're going to talk about that for a second. It goes from the low numbers, 60 say, all the way up to 1,000. The low numbers are rougher, the higher numbers are smoother. Now anything over 220 is usually something for finishing when you're done. All right. On this, I would probably start this with about 100 grit sandpaper because I want to knock down the paint that's on top here. I'm not going to remove the paint, I just want to take the texture out of it. All right. I recommend, there's a lot of different companies out there that make sandpaper. It's really, that is irrelevant, okay? Just use a decent grade of sandpaper. You can buy them anywhere, Home Depot, Lowe's, Harbor Freight. It doesn't really matter. Just don't buy really cheap stuff because it'll fall apart real quick, all right? Now, one of the things is a big tip I recommend when you sand things is the grain of this wood goes this way. Don't sand it this way. So with this block, I would actually sand my piece this way to make it smooth, all right? Then all this that's on the edge here that's already worn off, I'm not going to mess with that because I want these colors to come through later on. All right, so one of the tips I want to tell you about when you're sanding this is don't start with too rough of a piece of sandpaper. Don't start with 60 or 80. Start with 100. It'll give you a little bit more control and it won't take as much off because I just want to level this surface a little bit. All right. Now, our next video is going to be on how we actually paint this using poppies. All right, and I'll go into some techniques for how to paint and how to paint and what to do while you're doing it so that when you distress it, it looks more natural. Such as these areas that are already worn through, I'm not going to overpaint them too much so that when I come back through it, it'll show multiple colors. All right, this is Poppie saying keep painting.